Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Cronos L6005 Water Ghost. This watch is available from watchdives.com for $279 including FedEx shipping. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the watch comes in this familiar plastic pelican style case, and I'll show you the interior. Inside both halves we have two foam panels which do a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. So I like this style of pelican case. I find it to be very aesthetically pleasing, and they are also very durable. With regards to the other items, this is the plastic international guarantee card which comes with the watch. Now usually Cronos watches are covered by a 2-year international guarantee, and this is stated in the guarantee details on the reverse of the card. But if you purchase the watch from watchdives.com, I'm pleased to report that the watch is covered by a 3-year international guarantee rather than the usual Cronos 2-year guarantee, so that's very reassuring. One also gets this jeweler's screwdriver, as you can see, which has a 1.6mm tip used for resizing the screw pins in the bracelet, so it's always nice to get a good quality jeweler's screwdriver included with a watch. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Cronos L6005 Water Ghost. It's clearly an homage to the Rolex Submariner date, reference 116610LN, a watch I've personally owned and I've also reviewed on my channel. So if you haven't already done so, please feel free to check out my review of my Rolex Submariner date. It may be of interest to you. So as it's an homage to that piece, it follows very similar case proportions, 40mm case diameter. It has a 48mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 13.2mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the Glidelock style clasp. Now as you can see, the Glidelock style clasp has a beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel, finished to a very high standard. However, a clear cost cutting measure and a great disappointment is the flip lock on the Glidelock clasp is unsigned. I think it is wholly unacceptable for a watch costing $279 to have an unsigned clasp. Bear in mind, this isn't a Pagani designed PD1661 costing $70. This is $279. My thoughts are that if Pagani Design can do it with a PD1661, they engrave the clasp on their watches at $70, then Cronos should be able to do it at $279. To have a sterile Glidelock style clasp on this watch is unacceptable, so that is a major negative to the watch. Now, with regards to the rest of the specification, there are two versions to the L6005 Water Ghost. One can either have a ceramic bezel, which is lumed, or alternatively not lumed. This is the fully lumed version, which has BGW9 superluminova inlaid into the ceramic, sapphire crystal with AR coating, and it does a good job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver applied indices and Mercedes hands. So as it's an homage to the Submariner date, it follows the classic maxi dial layout. Now, a negative of the watch. It has AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal, which is very good, and it also has AR coating on the underside of the Cyclops magnifier. But however, the Cyclops magnifier only has 1.5 times magnification. That is a clear cost-cutting measure. I previously reviewed the San Martin SN019G, and that has a 2.5 times Cyclops magnifier, and that gives superior performance. It magnifies the date complication by 2.5 times, which is the same level of magnification as a Rolex. I've also previously reviewed the Steinhardt Ocean 139 Kermit, and that was another criticism I drew with that piece, because the Steinhardt Ocean 1 also has a 1.5 times magnification Cyclops magnifier, which is a cost-cutting measure. Yes, one could argue it's acceptable on a Pagani design PD1661 costing $70, but even Pagani design at $70 use 2.5 times magnification Cyclops magnifiers. It is wholly unacceptable to have 1.5 times at this price point, $279. Another clear cost-cutting measure, which is a disappointment. So let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel, as one would expect. Now unfortunately there is some lateral side to side play, and that lateral side to side play is all the way around the bezel, regardless of which position it is through the 360 degrees. There is slight lateral side to side play, and that is a disappointment. Now I want to test the back play, and again, as you can see, if you look closely at the bezel, there is back play, so I'm just going to rotate it at various positions. Yes, unfortunately there is back play at every position. So all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation, there is back play on the bezel, so that is very disappointing. The bezel action on the San Martin SN019G is superior. No lateral side to side play on that piece and no back play. It's a good tight crisp bezel, and the resistance feels firmer all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. So the lateral side to side play also compounds the back play, as you can see. So let's test the alignment. Now, on a positive note, I'm pleased to report the Lume and triangle aligned correctly with the 12 o'clock index on the dial, so there is no alignment issue. The bezel aligns correctly, but the back play and the side-to-side lateral play are clear disappointments, so Cronos really needs to improve the bezel action. The SN019G has a superior bezel action, and that is something to bear in mind. So, with regards to the clasp, let's test the Glidelock, because early versions of the SN019G, collectors often reported an issue with the Glidelock on that watch, that it would accidentally come open and slide out of position, which is very disconcerting. But on the SN019G I reviewed recently, the Glidelock worked very well. It was a good tight, smooth Glidelock style clasp, and it didn't pop out accidentally. It was good and tight. It clicked in securely and it didn't accidentally come undone. So San Martin have improved their Glidelock style clasp, but I want to test this Cronos Glidelock style clasp and see how it compares. It's stiffer. It's not as smooth as the SN019G. What I mean by stiffer is it takes more pressure. There's more resistance in to get it to move, to slide in and out. Now, in terms of clicking in and out, yes, it does click in and out positively. There's a good firm click, and no, it doesn't accidentally come out. So it's a good Glidelock style clasp, but however, I think the SN019G Glidelock style clasp is superior because it has less resistance, it's smoother. This one feels stiffer, it takes more pressure to get the Glidelock to move within the body of the clasp. It's not as silky smooth. So I would say that the SN019G Glidelock style clasp is better executed. The build quality, the quality control and the finishing are all superior because it is smoother. So this one does work well, although it does take more pressure and it feels rougher. It's not as silky smooth as on the SN019G. So the fact it's unsigned and the fact that the action isn't as good means that it's a disappointment. But with regards to the finishing of the interior, yes, it is finished to the same high standard. Flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks, and it also has a very similar spring-loaded action as per the Rolex Submariner dates, which this is an homage to. So it is a good homage to the Glidelock clasp, although not as well executed. With regards to the case back, it provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters of water resistance, brushed satin finish to the center section, mirror polish to the circumference and coin edge finished. So with regards to the case finishing, case back, bezel, end links and bracelets, they are all finished to equal standard to the San Martin SN019G. There is no difference whatsoever with regards to the finishing throughout. So let's test the crown action. Screw down coin edge finish crown, signed with a Cronos brand emblem to a high standard, mirror polish to a flawless finish. Let's test the action. It doesn't feel as good as an SN019G. It takes more resistance, and one can feel the interface between the internal thread of the crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. It feels rougher. The thread doesn't feel silky smooth like a Rolex. Now, when I reviewed the SN019G, one thing I really liked about it was it had a silky smooth crown action, less resistance required, and it unscrewed very smoothly with no resistance whatsoever. This L6005 Water Ghost, it doesn't have that same crown action. It feels rougher. One can feel the threads rubbing against each other. There's more friction between the threads. They don't interface, they don't mesh as well. So let's test the manual wind. In the first position, it's the manual wind position, and one can top up the power reserve to its maximum 40 hours. One can feel the tension in the mainspring of the caliber PT5000 building up, which is very satisfying. So it manually winds well, Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date position, and as you can see, the quick set complication works as one would expect, advancing the date, so that works well. Pulling it out to the final position hacks the movement. As you can see, I've now hacked the second hand, it's not moving, and one can set the time. So silky smooth. The PT5000 is one of my favourite movements. It's equal in quality to the ETA 2824-2, which it is a clone of, or alternatively the Solita SW200-1. So it's an outstanding movement, absolute pleasure to operate, silky smooth to set the time. The hands rotate smoothly in both clockwise and anti-clockwise rotation. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. As you can see, the second hand begins to sweep around the dial again. So let's test screwing it back down. It takes a lot of resistance. The winding stem is spring loaded. There's a lot of resistance. One has to give it a good firm push to get the crown to interface between the crown tube and the threading in the internal thread of the crown. Again, it takes more resistance. One has to give it a good firm clockwise screw to get the crown to pick up the thread. It's not as good as the SN019G. It takes more resistance, it doesn't feel as pleasant to operate, and that is a real disappointment. Crown action is something that's very important to me personally, and I like to see a watch regardless of the price point. I would draw a comparison to the Pagani Design PD1661, which is only $70 US. Despite that being a low tier price point piece at only $70 US, Pagani Design deserve full credit because they actually produce very good quality crown actions. I really like the crown action of the PD1661. It's actually very good. It's very silky smooth. So this is a disappointment for the Cronos L6005 Water Ghost, because my thinking is, if Pagani Design can get the crown action right, if they can get it very good at only $70 US, why can't Cronos get it equally good at $279 US? It's significantly more expensive, $208 US more expensive, but the crown action isn't as good. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet. I've simply taken it out of the watch box and adjusted the Glidelock style clasp to its maximum, and I'm pleased to report, as you can see, it fits my 8-inch wrist with no problem whatsoever. So very similar proportions to the Submariner dates 116610LN, which this is an homage to, 40mm case, perfectly balances the 20mm lug width. Very similar lug profile to the Submariner date maxi case, as you can see, or super case as it's sometimes referred to. So nice taper on the bracelet from 20mm down to the Glidelock style clasp, beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel. So finishing is very good. Now feel good factor is good. It does do a good job of being an homage to the Submariner date. Very similar maxi dial layout, and also the ceramic bezel insert is very well executed, and the AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal does a good job of reducing the glare and the reflective nature. 48mm is the perfect lug-to-lug measurement. I've often discussed this in previous reviews. It is the sweet spot, regardless of whether you're a collector with a 6 to 7-inch wrist or a larger 7 to 8-inch wrist respectively. 48mm really does fit all wrist sizes to perfection. It's an incredibly comfortable piece to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, and because it's only 13.2mm thick, it will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear a business shirt, so an ideal daily wear piece. But however, a big disappointment is the 1.5 times magnification, which really does negate the use of a Cyclops magnifier. If one is only going to magnify the date complication by 1.5 times, this would actually look better without the Cyclops magnifier because the performance is negligible. It should have a 2.5 times magnification Cyclops as per the Pagani Design PD1661 and as per the San Martin SN019G. They both have 2.5 times as per Rolex, so better quality. So good looking piece, comfortable to wear, it is aesthetically pleasing, and it does do a good job of being an homage to the Submariner date. But again, another disappointment looking at it on wrist is the lack of the signed flip lock on the Glidelock style clasp, another cost cutting measure. I dislike being reminded of all these cost cutting measures wearing it on wrist, the 1.5 times magnification Cyclops, and then again looking at the bracelet clasp, the lack of it being signed, clear cost cutting measures throughout. So let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Now bear in mind there are two versions to the L6005 Water Ghost. One can either have a lumed sapphire bezel or lumed ceramic bezel insert, or alternatively just plain ceramic. This is the lumed version with BGW9 Superluminova. Right, so I'm pleased to report that it has not disappointed. The quality of the BGW9 Superluminova is excellent, as you can see. Credit where credit's due, Cronos deserve full credit for producing a very well executed, fully lumed ceramic bezel insert. It is lumed on the applied indices, the Mercedes hands with BGW9, and also the ceramic bezel insert. Very well executed. The minute ticks are clearly legible. The lume pip on the triangle on the bezel insert is also fully legible, and as are the Arabic numerals. So it's glowing brightly, and it's also continuing to glow. So the question is it equal in performance to the San Martin SN019G? Yes, it is. It's exactly the same quality of lume as the BGW9 Superluminova used by San Martin. The lume is continuing to glow brightly on the ceramic bezel insert and also the applied indices and Mercedes hand, so it is excellent, and it really is very good to get this quality of BGW9 Superluminova at only $279 US, so outstanding. So let's discuss the movement used in the piece, because that is one of my favourite aspects. Like the San Martin SN019G, this uses the PT5000. So I'll explain the background to the movements. The PT5000 is made by HK Precision Technology in China. HK Precision Technology have been making the PT5000 since 2015, so at this stage, after 6 years, it is a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. It's a clone of the ETA 2824-2, so it has the same 25 joules, and it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Now, as you'll know from my previous reviews, I really like 4 Hz movements because they give a characteristic smooth sweep to the second hand. With the Seiko movement, such as the NH35A, it runs at 3 Hz, so the second hand has a judder or stutter around the dial, and it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour. So 4 Hz is better because it gives a smoother sweep, but there is another reason why I like 4 Hz movements. 28,800 vibrations per hour is the perfect compromise between power reserve and also accuracy. It gives a good balance. When one increases the beat rate of a watch, it improves the accuracy, but it is inevitable that one will lose power reserve. So the higher the beat rate, the lower the power reserve, the lower the power reserve, the higher the beat rate. So really one has to compromise between power reserve and accuracy, and really 4 Hz and 28,800 vibrations per hour is that sweet spot. It is the perfect compromise. So this has a 40-hour power reserve. It has hand bonding and hacking, which are useful complications. The stated accuracy of the caliber PT5000 is plus or minus 12 seconds per day. Now I'm pleased to report that this one has been very well regulated to plus 5 seconds per day, which is actually within COSC chronometer limits of accuracy. COSC chronometer limits are minus 4 to plus 6 seconds per day. So to get a watch which is regulated to plus 5 seconds per day, it's only $279 US, is a credit to Cronos, because they are using very well regulated PT5000 movements. There's something else I'll just refer to with regards to the PT5000, why I really like it. In 2018, it became noted globally, a highly respected movement, because it was used in a watch, and that watch was tested at the Glashütte Observatory in Germany, and it was the first Chinese-made movement to gain chronometer certification in Germany at the Glashütte Observatory. So you'll all be familiar with COSC chronometer certification, which happens in Switzerland. Sellita SW200-1s and also ETA 2824-2s are often COSC chronometer certified to within minus 4 to plus 6 seconds per day. And indeed Rolex movements such as the caliber 3235 is also COSC chronometer certified to minus 2 to plus 2. So to get a PT5000 to have it gain chronometer certification at the Glashütte Observatory is very impressive. So they can be regulated much better than the plus or minus 12 seconds per day, which is the standard accuracy. For example, one can regulate this movement in 6 positions to within COSC chronometer limits, and this one is actually regulated to +5 seconds per day, which is within cost chronometer limits. So very good, reliable movement, very accurate. Now the question is it worth upgrading to an SW200-1? For example, if you purchase a San Martin SN019G, it's available in two versions. One can either have the PT5000 or the SW200-1. Same case with the Cronos L6005. One can have PT5000 or upgrade to an SW200-1. I don't think it's worth paying the extra to upgrade to the SW200-1 because really the only difference between an SW200-1 and a PT5000 is the SW200-1 has an extra joule added. It has 26 joules. The PT5000 has 25 joules because it is a direct clone of the ETA 2824-2. In terms of accuracy, they're both the same. In terms of reliability, they're both the same. The build quality, the quality control, the finishing is the same. The only real difference is the PT5000 is made in China by HK Precision Technology. The SW200-1 is made in Switzerland by Solita. So I like the movement, but however I think it's a shame that there are cost-cutting measures with the watch itself. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So this is $279 US. Now, one has to factor in the comparison to the SN019G, which is significantly more expensive. That is $321 US with the PT5000 movement. So this watch is significantly less expensive than an SN019G, and therefore one has to say yes, it is excellent value. It's less expensive than the San Martin version. So yes, I'm going to say it is excellent value. Now, with regards to is it excellent quality? No, it isn't. The quality is okay. I'm not going to say it's good and I'm not going to say it's excellent. I would say the quality is okay. The reason why I say it's okay and not excellent is lateral side-to-side play and back play in the bezel, the cost-cutting measure of the 1.5 times magnification Cyclops magnifier, the poor crown action, it's not silky smooth, and also the lack of a signed clasp, as you can see, another clear cost-cutting measure. The problem is the cumulative effect of all these cost-cutting measures is one feels unsatisfied with the piece overall. When one compares this to a San Martin SN019G, the specification is better overall. The build quality, the quality control, the finishing, because one is getting a 2.5 times magnification, a silky smooth crown action, and a signed flip lock on the Glidelock clasp, which is done to a high standard on the San Martin. Now, of course, one could argue that the Cronos has a fully loomed BGW9 Superluminova ceramic bezel, so that is something the SN019G doesn't have. So one could argue, well, the Cronos is a better specified watch because it has a fully loomed ceramic bezel, the San Martin doesn't. But however, I think that the San Martin SN019G is a better watch overall. I would rather not have the fully loomed ceramic bezel insert and have a 2.5 times magnification, silky smooth crown action, and a signed flip lock on the Glidelock style clasp. So to answer the question, you're going to be thinking, well, which is the better watch? Which do I buy? The San Martin SN019G, or do I buy this Cronos L6005 Water Ghost? I would say to you, the San Martin SN019G is the better watch. It has the edge over this watch. Now, yes, it is more expensive. It's $321 US. This is less expensive at $279 US. However, it is a case of one gets what one pays for. The San Martin is a better watch. In terms of the case finishing, the bracelet finishing, the bezel finishing, the case back, the clasp, they are equal. The quality of the finishing throughout is equal between the two watches. So it really comes down to the poor bezel action, the cost-cutting measure of the Cyclops magnifier, the poor crown action, and also the unsigned sterile Glidelock style clasp. Too many cost-cutting measures which make this watch a disappointment. So excellent value, but okay in terms of quality. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Cronos L6005 Water Ghost. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.